Your teams can work relentless 80-hour weeks to optimize every operation. Yet, despite all that force, you watch your profit margin shrink to zero. It is the classic paradox for executives. Internal teams burn out trying to push the product, while smaller, agile competitors seem to effortlessly scale and capture the market. The problem in these scenarios isn't a lack of operational hustle. The failure sits deeper. It is a flaw in the SI competitors seem to effortlessly scale and capture the market. The problem in these scenarios isn't a lack of operational hustle. The failure sits deeper. It is a flaw in the underlying logic of how the company actually makes money. That logic relies on three structural pillars. The first is value creation. A business only exists if it leverages a specific resource or expertise to solve a highly relevant, painful problem for a customer. The second pillar is value delivery. This is the exact mechanical pathway, the channels and touchpoints used to actually place that solution into the customer's hands. These first two connect to the third pillar, value capture, forming a closed, functioning loop. If any single pillar in this mechanism disconnects, the financial engine seizes. Without a mechanism to capture value, your capital drains out. To diagnose why a good company is dying, leaders have to stop staring at the packaging of their product and start X-raying their entire profit architecture. That diagnosis usually uncovers a fatal misconception in the boardroom. Executives frequently use the terms business strategy and business model as if they mean the exact same thing. They do not. Business strategy is purely the directional choice. It answers the external questions. Exactly where in the market will we play, and what is our plan to beat the competitors in that space? For example, a leadership team might decide their strategy is to dominate the premium high-end coffee market in a highly specific affluent urban geography. This split screen illustrates the difference. If strategy is the map on the left, the business model is the internal engineering blueprint on the right. It represents the structural math that makes the external strategy possible. That premium coffee strategy fails instantly if the structural cost of leasing prime real estate and importing beans outpaces the revenue generated from selling individual cups of coffee. A flawless, brilliant strategy applied to a structurally broken model is just a delusion written on a piece of paper. The inverse is also true. If you build a highly profitable business model but lack a defensive strategy to protect it, competitors will simply reverse engineer your math and destroy your market share. Strategy is the compass that sets the destination. The business model is the engine that actually drives the vehicle there. To inspect that engine, diagnosticians use a specific framework to map out the financial logic. This is the Business Model Canvas, or BMC. It condenses the complex, chaotic vascular system of a modern corporation down into a single, testable 9-block grid. The right side of the canvas maps the external, customer-facing elements, who your segments are, how you build relationships with them, and the channels used to reach them. In the center is the value proposition. This acts as the heart, pumping your specific solutions outward through those channels to the customer segments. The left side of the canvas represents the operational backend required to actually build that product. This tracks your key activities, the resources you own, and the partnerships you rely on. Everything sits on two foundational blocks, the cost structure on the bottom left and the revenue streams on the bottom right. Notice the flow. The operational backend on the left continuously drains capital downward into the cost structure. Conversely, successful delivery to the customer on the right generates capital, flowing down into the revenue streams, which then pushes back up to support the entire operation. Diagnosing a failing business is an exercise in spotting the exact blocks where the internal costs on the left overwhelm the external revenue on the right. The true power of the BMC is that it takes the invisible financial assumptions living in a CEO's head and makes them visible, measurable, and testable on a single page. History proves that model architecture dictates survival, even when product quality is equal. We see this in the collapse of the home entertainment giant Blockbuster. Blockbuster's fatal structural flaw was buried in their logic for capturing value. They relied heavily on late fees as a primary revenue stream, meaning their financial engine required them to actively punish and alienate their own customers. These side-by-side canvases show exactly how Netflix weaponized their model against Blockbuster. Netflix moved beyond simple media digitization to reinvent the core mechanics of the industry. Look at Blockbuster on the left, burdened by heavy physical resources and hostile revenue streams. Now look at Netflix on the right. They eliminated physical real estate entirely, creating a weightless cost structure. Then they replaced the punitive late fees with a frictionless monthly subscription. This shift from transactional, friction-heavy sales to recurring subscriptions allowed Netflix to scale their user base globally without a proportional increase in their operating costs. We see the same dynamic in the hardware and appliance sector. For decades, these companies fell into the trap of transactional revenue. You build a durable product, you sell it to a customer once, and the transaction ends. Nespresso realized that selling a machine once was an architectural dead end. They engineered a deviation from the standard appliance sales model. This chart maps the logic of the bait and hook business model. Nespresso positioned the coffee machine itself as the bait. They deliberately sell the hardware at a low margin to create a highly accessible entry point for the consumer. The hook is the proprietary coffee capsules. These are high-margin, consumable products that the customer is now structurally forced to buy repeatedly to use the machine. That specific blueprint takes a customer who intended to make a one-off hardware purchase and transforms them into a captive, long-term subscriber. This mathematically alters the valuation of the company. Nespresso pays the customer acquisition cost exactly once, but extracts massive, recurring lifetime value from that single user. Market dominance rarely comes from incremental product tweaks. It comes from engineering an architectural moat that dictates the specific path money takes through the market. Theory only matters if you apply it. Tomorrow morning, you need to look at your own organization and x-ray its architecture. In the Japanese business consulting practice known as Shindon, diagnosticians use a rapid 5-question structural scan to identify hidden model decay before it becomes terminal. Question 1. Value proposition expiry. Can you definitively prove that the exact pain point you are solving still exists in today's market? Or are you selling a cure to a disease that vanished 3 years ago? Question 2. Revenue fragility. Are you relying on a single sales channel or a dangerously small cluster of legacy clients that could wipe out your cash flow if they leave? Question 3. Cost rigidity. Is your fixed cost structure so heavy and bloated that your organization would be completely unable to pivot if an economic downturn hit next month? Question 4. Activity value. Do the daily operational tasks of your staff actually create value for the customer, or are they just administrative bloat that should be automated by AI? Question 5. Ecosystem isolation. Are you operating entirely alone without strategic partnerships? Isolated businesses are easily crushed in an economy driven by integrated networks. If your business fails even one of these 5 tests, you have a critical, active leak in your financial engine. No amount of 80-hour work weeks or brilliant marketing campaigns can compensate for a broken logic of making money. In the modern economy, victory does not belong to the company with the best product. It belongs to the architects of the most adaptable, intelligently designed machine.